120/80 is killing seniors over 65. That target you've been chasing your whole life. It might be the most dangerous number your doctor ever gave you. A landmark study shocked cardiology. Seniors over 65 pushed down to 120 had more falls, more fainting, more kidney damage, and in some groups higher death rates than seniors who sat slightly higher. The aggressive number that protects a 45-year-old can starve an 80-year-old brain of blood. 73-year-old woman. My ER. Brought in confused, dizzy, nearly unconscious. Her family panicked thinking stroke. It wasn't a stroke. Her blood pressure was 118/72. Textbook perfect. Her doctor was proud of that number. But her aging arteries are stiff. They need more pressure to push blood up to her brain. Her perfect reading was leaving her brain under every time she stood up. Her medication was the problem, not her heart. Here's what almost no doctor explains. After 65, your blood pressure target changes. Your arteries harden. Your organs adapted. The one number that fits everyone is a myth, and chasing the wrong target with aggressive medication causes the exact damage you're trying to prevent. But it's not just one number. Your blood pressure tells 7 different stories depending on how it moves. The gap between top and bottom. How much it drops when you stand. How far it swings overnight. Each pattern is a warning, and your doctor glances at one reading for 4 seconds and moves on. What you're about to see are 7 blood pressure readings and what each one actually means for your survival. Pay close attention to number 3 because it's the pattern that predicts stroke more accurately than your top number ever will, and almost nobody measures it. Every source linked in the description. Tell me your age and where you're watching from right now. I read every comment personally. Now let's start with reading number 7. This is the number your doctor ignores, and it reveals more about your heart than your standard reading ever could. Number 7. A reading above 140 on top, but below 90 on bottom. Warning sign of dangerous arterial stiffening. This is the most common blood pressure reading pattern in adults over 65, and it carries a warning that most people completely miss. When your monitor shows something like 155/78 or 162/82, where the top number is elevated above 140, but the bottom number stays comfortably below 90, that specific pattern is called isolated systolic hypertension. It is a direct warning sign that your arteries are losing their flexibility and becoming dangerously rigid. For decades, doctors focused almost entirely on the bottom number. That diastolic reading was considered the real threat. It wasn't until the Framingham Heart Study data was reanalyzed in the early 2000s that researchers realized the top number alone is actually the far more dangerous predictor of heart attack and stroke after 65. A study published in The Lancet in 2002 involving over 15,000 participants above 60 found that this specific reading pattern increased the risk of stroke by 42%. Compared to people with normal readings on both numbers. The warning here is about what's happening inside your artery walls. When you were young, your arteries were flexible like rubber bands. They expanded when your heart pumped and contracted when it rested. That's why both numbers used to rise and fall together. But after decades of use, those walls become stiff. So when the heart pumps, the artery can't expand to absorb the force, and the top number shoots up while the bottom number stays flat or even drops. Think of it like pushing water through a rigid metal pipe versus a soft, flexible hose. The pressure spike is far more violent in the stiff pipe. That spike hits your brain, your kidneys, and your heart with every single beat, damaging tiny blood vessels over time. The SHEP trial proved that treating this pattern with low-dose medication reduced strokes by 36% and heart failure by 49%. The goal is not to slam the top number to 120. For most adults over 65, getting it below 150 provides the benefit without dangerous overcorrection. Monitor at home using a validated upper arm cuff. Sit quietly for 5 minutes. Keep your feet flat and take 2 readings 1 minute apart every morning before medication. If your top number is consistently above 140 while your bottom sits below 90, that pattern is your arteries sending you a loud and clear warning that they need attention now. But this is only the surface because the next reading reveals a hidden danger in that bottom number that could be quietly threatening your heart this very moment. Number 6. A reading where the bottom number falls below 60. Warning sign your heart is starving for blood. Most conversations about blood pressure focus on bringing numbers down. Lower is better, right? Not always. And especially not when it comes to that bottom number in adults over 65. When your monitor shows a diastolic reading below 60, something like 142 over 55 or 138 over 52, that specific reading is a serious warning sign of what cardiologists call the J-curve phenomenon. Here's what that means in plain language. When researchers plot the relationship between diastolic blood pressure and heart events on a graph, it doesn't form a straight downward line. It forms a J shape. Risk goes down as diastolic drops from 90 to about 70. But then something alarming happens. Below 60, the risk starts climbing back up sharply. A massive study published in JAMA Internal Medicine in 2019 looked at over 11,000 adults with an average age of 74. Those with a diastolic reading below 60 had a 49% higher risk of heart attack compared to those sitting between 70 and 80. That is a staggering number that most people have never heard about. The reason is pure biology. Your heart muscle gets most of its own blood supply during the resting phase between beats. That resting phase is exactly what the diastolic number measures. When that pressure drops too low, your heart doesn't receive enough blood to feed itself. You are essentially starving the engine that keeps you alive. This is especially dangerous for people who already have coronary artery disease, which is extremely common after 65. Their arteries are already partially blocked, and they need that diastolic pressure to push blood through those narrow passages. Drop it too low, and the heart muscle starts suffering in silence. The tricky part is that many medications prescribed to lower blood pressure bring down both numbers at the same time. Your doctor might be focused entirely on getting that top number under control, but the medication could be dragging the bottom number into a danger zone nobody is watching. This is exactly why home monitoring matters so much. If your systolic is 145, but your diastolic is sitting at 55, that combination is a red flag you need to bring to your doctor immediately. The conversation should not just be about lowering the top number. It should be about protecting the bottom one from falling too far. Stay adequately hydrated, don't over-restrict salt unless specifically told to, and ask your doctor for a clear target on your diastolic number specifically. If they only ever mention the top number, push for a clear answer on the bottom one too. And the next reading takes this concept of both numbers and reveals how the gap between them is one of the most powerful warning signs ever studied. Before we continue, take a second to like this video and subscribe. There's even bigger insight right after this. Number 5. A reading where the gap between top and bottom exceeds 60. Warning sign of severe artery damage. Take your systolic number and subtract your diastolic number. That result is called your pulse pressure. And when it exceeds 60, it is one of the most alarming warning signs in cardiovascular medicine for anyone over 65. If your reading is 160 over 70, your pulse pressure is 90. If it's 150 over 68, your pulse pressure is 82. Normal pulse pressure in a healthy adult sits between 40 and 60. Once that gap widens beyond 60, your body is telling you something critical about the condition of your arteries. A study published in Hypertension in 2000 analyzed over 19,000 participants from the Framingham Heart Study and found that for every 10-point increase in pulse pressure above 60, the risk of major cardiovascular events rose by 23%. Another study from the Journal of the American College of Cardiology in 2006 found that a pulse pressure above 65 in adults over 60 was a stronger predictor of heart attack than either the top or bottom number alone. Let that sink in. The gap between your two numbers tells your doctor more about your real risk than either number by itself, yet almost nobody calculates it. The warning sign here is a direct reflection of arterial stiffness at an advanced stage. When your arteries are flexible, they absorb each heartbeat's force and release it slowly. This keeps the gap narrow. When arteries become rigid, the top number spikes higher while the bottom number drops or stays flat. That widens the gap dramatically, and every single heartbeat becomes a hammer blow against your organs. Your brain takes the worst of this damage. Research from the Lancet Neurology in 2014 showed that elevated pulse pressure was associated with a 28% increase in dementia risk over 10 years. Your kidneys suffer next, followed by your heart itself. To respond to this warning sign, the focus should be on improving arterial flexibility through regular aerobic exercise. Multiple studies have shown that consistent walking reduces arterial stiffness by 15 to 25%. Walking 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week is the minimum effective dose. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish or supplements, potassium-rich foods like bananas and sweet potatoes, and reducing sodium intake all help keep arteries more pliable. Monitoring your pulse pressure is as simple as doing the subtraction after each home reading. Track it over weeks and watch the trend. If it consistently sits above 60, bring this specific number to your doctor. Most doctors don't calculate it unless you specifically bring it up. But the warning signs don't stop at what you measure while awake, because the next reading happens while you sleep and reveals something most people never even consider checking. Number 4. A nighttime reading that doesn't drop by 10 to 20%. Warning sign of round-the-clock organ damage. Your blood pressure is supposed to drop by 10 to 20% while you sleep. This natural decline is called dipping, and it is one of the most important recovery processes your cardiovascular system performs every night. When a nighttime reading shows that this drop isn't happening, that is a warning sign called non-dipping, and the health consequences are severe and far-reaching. A study published in Circulation in 2018 followed over 11,000 participants and found that non-dippers had a 29% higher risk of cardiovascular death compared to normal dippers. An even more alarming pattern is called reverse dipping, where blood pressure actually rises during sleep. That group showed a 56% higher risk of dying from heart disease. Think about what this means for your body. For 6 to 8 hours every night, your heart and blood vessels are supposed to get a break from the demands of the day. That dipping period is when your body repairs blood vessel walls, clears inflammation, and restores elasticity in your arteries. When blood pressure stays elevated through the night, your cardiovascular system never gets that recovery window. It's like running a car engine at full speed 24 hours straight without ever letting it cool down. The engine wears out dramatically faster. The number one culprit behind non-dipping in older adults is sleep apnea. A 2020 study in the American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine found that untreated sleep apnea was present in over 60% of non-dippers above age 65. Chronic kidney disease, diabetes, high evening salt intake, and certain medications also contribute to this pattern. The problem is that a standard office reading during the day cannot detect this at all. You need a 24-hour ambulatory blood pressure monitor to catch it. Your doctor can prescribe one. It involves wearing a small cuff that inflates automatically every 30 minutes throughout the day and night, capturing your true blood pressure behavior while you sleep. Ask your doctor for this test at least once. To improve your dipping pattern, treating sleep apnea if present is the single most impactful step. Beyond that, the Hygia chronotherapy trial showed that taking blood pressure medication at night instead of morning reduced cardiovascular events by 45%. This simple timing change could dramatically improve your nighttime numbers. Reduce salt after 3 in the afternoon, avoid alcohol within 3 hours of bedtime, and keep your bedroom cool and dark. Your nighttime reading is a window into cardiovascular damage that happens in total silence. And the next warning sign reveals just how deceptive that calm, normal reading at your doctor's office might actually be. Number 3. A normal reading at the doctor, but high readings at home. Warning sign of hidden uncontrolled hypertension. Imagine going to your doctor and seeing a perfectly reassuring blood pressure reading on the screen. 128/78. Your doctor smiles. You feel relieved. Everything looks great. But here's the terrifying reality. At home, at work, and during your daily life, your blood pressure is actually running at 155/95. You have dangerously high blood pressure, and neither you nor your doctor knows it. This pattern is called masked hypertension, and it is one of the most frightening warning signs in cardiovascular medicine because it is completely invisible during routine care. A 2018 study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that masked hypertension affects approximately 15 to 30% of adults who show normal readings in the clinic. Among adults over 65, the numbers are even higher. The same study found that people with masked hypertension had a cardiovascular event rate nearly identical to people with known uncontrolled hypertension. In other words, the danger is exactly the same whether your doctor knows about it or not. The difference is that known hypertension gets treated while masked hypertension silently destroys your organs without anyone intervening. A meta-analysis in the Annals of Internal Medicine in 2019 confirmed this, showing that masked hypertension carried a risk increase of over 100% for cardiovascular events compared to people with truly normal blood pressure at home and in the clinic. That's double the risk, completely hidden from standard medical screening. Several triggers cause blood pressure to spike outside the calm environment of a doctor's office. Stress at home, physical exertion, caffeine, poor sleep, emotional tension, and even the timing of meals can push blood pressure up significantly when you're not sitting peacefully in a clinical setting with a reassuring doctor nearby. The only reliable way to uncover this warning sign is consistent home blood pressure monitoring. Take readings at different times of day for at least 7 consecutive days. Morning readings before medication and evening readings before dinner give the most useful data. Use a validated upper arm cuff rather than a wrist device, as wrist monitors are significantly less accurate in older adults. If your average home readings are consistently 10 or more points higher than your clinic readings, you very likely have masked hypertension and your treatment plan needs to change. Show your home log to your doctor and have a direct conversation about adjusting your care. This single discovery could mean the difference between thinking you're protected and actually being at serious undetected risk every single day. And the next reading takes blood pressure monitoring even further by looking at something almost nobody tracks, but that research says matters enormously. Number 2, readings that swing more than 15 points between sessions. Warning sign of impending stroke. Most people focus only on what their blood pressure number is. Very few pay any attention to how much that number moves around from one reading to the next. When your readings are bouncing by more than 15 systolic points between sessions, showing 135 one day, then 168 the next, then 122 the day after, that pattern is called high blood pressure variability, and it is one of the strongest warning signs of stroke risk in older adults ever identified. A groundbreaking study published in The Lancet in 2010 analyzed data from over 8,000 patients and produced a finding that changed cardiology forever. High visit-to-visit variability in systolic blood pressure was a stronger predictor of stroke than the average blood pressure reading itself. Patients in the highest variability group had a 72% increased risk of stroke compared to those with stable readings. It's not just the destination that matters. It's how much the road swings on the way there. Every time your blood pressure spikes up and then crashes down, your blood vessels experience extreme mechanical stress. Each swing stretches and contracts the vessel walls violently, and over time, this damages the inner lining of the arteries. That damage promotes plaque buildup, weakens vessel walls, and dramatically increases the chance of a vessel rupturing in your brain. Think of it like bending a paperclip back and forth. It doesn't snap the first time. But after enough bends in both directions, the metal fatigues and breaks. Your arteries respond in exactly the same way to repeated pressure swings. A 2019 study in the European Heart Journal involving over 36,000 older adults confirmed these findings, showing that systolic variability above 15 points between visits was associated with a 46% increase in all-cause mortality. Several factors drive this dangerous variability in older adults. Medication inconsistency is a major one. Taking your pill at different times or missing doses creates artificial swings. Dehydration, irregular sleep schedules, alcohol consumption, and large heavy meals all cause significant fluctuations throughout the day. To respond to this warning sign, consistency is everything. Take medication at the exact same time every day. Stay hydrated throughout the day rather than drinking large amounts at once, because thirst sensation decreases significantly with age. Limit alcohol to no more than 1 drink daily. Maintain regular sleep and wake times even on weekends. Monitor your blood pressure at the same time each morning under the same conditions and track the numbers in a notebook. What you want to see is a stable trend. If your readings are swinging by more than 15 points regularly, that conversation needs to happen with your doctor immediately. Switching to long-acting medication formulations can dramatically smooth out the swings and lower stroke risk. And now we arrive at the number 1 reading, the most dangerous and most overlooked warning sign of them all. Number 1, a reading that drops 20 or more points when you stand up. Warning sign of stroke, falls, and silent brain damage. This is it, the single most overlooked and most dangerous blood pressure reading in adults over 65. When you go from sitting or lying down to standing up and your systolic number drops by 20 or more points or your diastolic drops by 10 or more points within 3 minutes, that reading pattern is called orthostatic hypotension. It is a direct warning sign that your body's blood pressure regulation system is failing, and the consequences range from dangerous falls all the way to stroke, dementia, and death. A 2023 study published in Circulation followed over 12,000 adults with a mean age of 72 for an average of 17 years. The findings were alarming. Those who showed this drop when standing had a 64% higher risk of ischemic stroke and a 40% higher risk of heart failure compared to those without it. A separate 2017 meta-analysis in the Journal of the American Heart Association combining data from over 120,000 participants found that this reading pattern increased the risk of all-cause mortality by 50%. Yet, despite these staggering numbers, almost no routine doctor visit includes a standing blood pressure check. Your doctor measures your pressure while you're sitting, writes down the number, and moves on. They almost never ask you to stand up and recheck. This is a massive blind spot in how cardiovascular health is monitored in older adults. The warning sign reflects a failing reflex system in your body. When you stand, gravity pulls blood downward into your legs. A healthy body compensates instantly by tightening blood vessels and slightly increasing heart rate to keep blood flowing to the brain. In older adults, this reflex becomes sluggish. Blood pressure medication, dehydration, prolonged bed rest, diabetes-related nerve damage, and Parkinson's disease all make it worse. The pressure drops, the brain loses blood flow, and you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or faint. Falls from this condition are the leading cause of injury-related hospitalization in adults over 65. Beyond the immediate danger, repeated episodes of reduced brain blood flow cause cumulative silent damage. A 2016 study in neurology found that this pattern was associated with a 37% increased risk of developing dementia over 20 years. Your brain cells are dying in small numbers every time it happens, and you may not feel a thing until cognitive decline becomes noticeable years later. Testing for this at home is simple and takes less than 10 minutes. Lie down for 5 full minutes and take your blood pressure. Then stand up and take it again at 1 minute and again at 3 minutes. If your systolic drops by 20 or more or your diastolic drops by 10 or more at either check, you have this condition. To manage it, stay hydrated with at least 8 glasses of water daily. Rise slowly from any position, pausing at the edge of the bed before standing fully. Compression stockings help prevent blood pooling in the legs. Avoid heavy meals that divert blood flow to digestion. Talk to your doctor about adjusting timing or dosage of blood pressure medications, as some doctors split doses between morning and evening to prevent this dangerous drop. This single test could reveal the most critical warning sign hiding in your cardiovascular system right now. So there you have it. 7 specific blood pressure readings that serve as direct warning signs about what is really happening inside your body after 65. From the top number climbing alone to the life-threatening drop when you stand. Each reading pattern tells a story that a single routine checkup simply cannot capture. The standard 120/80 target is not the full picture for anyone over 65. The gap between your numbers, the swings between sessions, what happens at night, what happens when you stand, and what your readings look like outside the doctor's office all matter enormously. Start monitoring at home with a validated upper arm cuff. Track your numbers over time. Calculate your pulse pressure. Test yourself standing up. Bring your data to your doctor and have real conversations about these specific patterns. Knowledge here is not just power, it is survival. Your heart has been beating for you every second of every day for over 65 years. It deserves more than a single snapshot reading once or twice a year. Give it the attention it has earned, and it will keep working for you for many more years to come. If this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know before, hit that subscribe button so you never miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching.